Hi, my name is Galen Brown, and I'm here to talk about the politics of energy, dispel some myths, and hopefully inspire some progress. I've written about energy issues for Vermont Commons for many years. I've been an organizer of community wind and solar projects. I was vice president of a large solar installation company, and I'm on town energy committees and talk about energy all the time. But first, let's get our motivation straight. Instead of a divisive and potentially endless climate change debate, why don't we frame the energy question around self-reliance versus reliance on foreign corporations and imported fuels? Vermont has zero oil, natural gas, coal, or nuclear fuel resources. So let's get real and take a look at Vermont's actual situation. Myth number one, we have an energy crisis. Yes, we're running out of oil, but we're also surrounded by completely untapped electromagnetic and biological energy. Vermont could be self-reliant through hydropower, wind, solar, methane digesters, Stirling generators, biomass, or even the Earth's electromagnetic field. Vermont needs to somehow replace Vermont Yankee with wind and solar. That's also a myth. That's a myth. Actually, we already have enough renewable energy installed in Vermont to meet more than 80% of our needs, and it's called hydropower. The problem is that all of our hydropower is owned by a Canadian megacorp, and all of it is exported out of Vermont, leaving us dependent. Myth number three, Vermont has progressive political energy leadership. Actually, we have a greenwash crony capitalism system right here in Vermont. Vermont has become an energy colony for megacorps and conglomerates like Entergy, TransCanada, Gas Metro, and Lockheed Martin, thanks to our political leadership. That's not progress. Vermont's existing hydropower resource that could completely replace Vermont Yankee at dramatically lower cost is owned by a foreign company that both sides of our political debates support. They let this happen. It wasn't just the Republicans, it wasn't just the Democrats, both of them. This resource is a perfect complement to distributed renewable energy, but we're not allowed to use it. Let's let that sink in for a second. We all want to be clean, green, and self-reliant. And we could be today, but we're not. Myth number four, our energy resources are limited. That's not true either. We're surrounded by energy. But you say there's no energy in air, or wind, or water, or a vacuum. What causes lightning? Did you know that rocket fuel is made out of liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen, the same thing that water is made out of? For that matter, what enormous source of energy causes the Earth to rotate on its axis and around the sun? What keeps the moon rotating? What keeps the Earth's core full of molten metal? All of these energy sources are documented and confirmed, but ignored. If you don't believe there are real energy options out there aside from the established corporate technologies, in my opinion, you're a victim of media brainwashing and possibly also public school systems. Have you ever heard of Phileas Bouchard, a Stowe-based inventor who modified a diesel engine to run with water as the only fuel just up the road here about 40 years ago? The story's true as far as I can tell. I've met the family. I've got a copy of the patent. There's also a company that was trying to start up in Coventry about 12 years ago that had a modified engine that could get 350 miles a gallon. I know the investor in that company, talked to him in depth about it. What about Nikola Tesla, who figured out how to harvest energy directly from the Earth's electromagnetic field? He had an electric car in 1918 and drove around all over Long Island without batteries and without a fuel source. What about Victor Schauberger, the Austrian inventor employed by Hitler during the war to pull direct power out of water? Both were tricked into selling their patents and died destitute. Myth number five, smart meters are necessary to enable more renewable energy. Denmark has 34% of the energy in its grid from intermittent wind and solar, and Denmark has not one single residential solar smart meter in the country, and they don't plan to use them. Smart meters are only necessary if you're using more than 100,000 kilowatt hours a year, according to Denmark. The average home in Vermont uses 6,000 a year. This is a war profiteering program brought to you by Lockheed Martin and Bernie Sanders. Thank you very much, Bernie. Foreign oil, utility wind on our ridgelines, nuclear power, carbon taxes, expensive hybrid cars that get worse mileage than diesel engines, CFLs that emit radiation and contain mercury, efficient propane and fuel oil furnaces, smart meters, foreign ownership of our hydropower, wood-fired electric plants, and guilt trips. These are the false solutions to climate change that we are being sold by Democrats and Republicans alike. The short list of actual viable solutions for Vermont includes up to 300 more megawatts of microhydro that does not block rivers but diverts water around to make mini turbines. We could also be sustaining our energy with biomass from wood heating, community-scale wind and solar, biogas like cow power and home-scale biogas, gasifying generators and compost energy, all of which are cost competitive with fossil fuels today without subsidies. One of my side projects for the last 3 years has been to resurrect a human-scale, low-tech energy concept invented about 30 years ago in France, a method of harvesting enormous amounts of heat and gas energy from compost itself. You all know that compost piles get hot and barns filled with wet hay burn, right? Well, that's exactly what we're tapping into here. At compostpower.org, a nonprofit network of Vermont tinkerers that I helped to put together, we believe buildings and greenhouses can be heated cost-effectively with compost, with a byproduct of soil-building compost for your soils. We've got systems producing 140-degree water for 12 to 18 months continuously without touching them after they're built. Jean Pain also placed natural gas biodigesters inside his compost mounds, with the heat of the mound keeping the gas chamber at the ideal temperature without any engineered complexity. We've got a design guide on our website, compostpower.org, to help anybody who wants to try this do it themselves, and we've got some pretty good information out there. I also do classes at Yes Tomorrow, and we have a UVM project coming up next month to heat a greenhouse with compost. Sounds too good to be true, right? We couldn't be doing that if it was true, everybody would be, right? Well, AgriLabs, a company that has operations in Vermont, has 2 large-scale systems existing. One's at Jasper Hill Farm up in Greensboro. They're making their own biogas, they're heating their greenhouses and their whole system, their whole structure with compost. The small-scale systems we've got are putting out as much heat as a small wood stove, cranking 24/7. Another volunteer project I'm co-organizing is a group net-metered solar project for the Mad River Valley. There's lots of options. I hope that everyone here sees that these options are real and stops believing the myths. Thank you.